I want to show you some gameplay from Quebec to play Assassin's Creed Shadows. Before I start, I know where Ubisoft is at right now with what they've been doing lately, whether it's their NFT game Sand, whether it's Skull and Bones, or whether it's the controversy surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadow. But today let's focus on that game. Is it good? Is it worth buying? So this trip consisted of a few days, but I was in the studio for 2 days. The first day was purely gameplay demo. We played the intro sequence, which I won't show you here because of spoilers, but I have to say that really compared to those so robotic cutscenes, especially from Mirage, which admittedly wasn't a full-fledged assassin, so here those cutscenes, they look very nice acting performance, and I was honestly quite afraid, because I feel like all the marketing and the Hideout game will be built more around Yasuke, but after that intro, I personally have more emotional attachment to Naoie, and especially that actress played her really well, and as for Yasuke, was very cleverly included in the story. So we also got a skip for the first 25 levels, meaning I literally have no idea about the story. There were side quests that we could just breeze through, and in the game, you can freely switch between Yasuke and Naoie, kind of like in Spider-Man. But I have to say, you'll never see those two characters interacting with each other in the open world. After the intro, we went into the open world, and from there, we headed to the hideout, but I'll get to that. For almost every mission you play, you can choose how to approach it. Play more stealthy, with parkour like an Assassin's Creed game, or play as Yasuke, cutting through enemies and basically being a tank. It's completely up to you. Honestly, it almost seemed like you could completely ignore one of the characters. For example, Yasuke can never climb the tallest buildings, and on the other hand, Naoie can never handle fighting against more than 5 enemies at once. But one thing that made me super happy to see back in the game is that you have your own followers, whom you can send to deal with various enemies. In the demo we played, we experienced 2 types of these followers. The first one was a brute, so if you're in combat or can't handle a fight anymore, you can send a brute to help. Her name is Jaj, or Ike, and she's a Buddhist nun who eventually becomes part of your hideout, but I'll get to that later. You can send her in with raw brute strength, and she either act as a distraction or straight up help you in situations where you're stuck, as long as she's available. That's awesome! The second type of follower we had was a sneaky assassin who could kill enemies from cover using a dart. Later, we found out that you can upgrade these followers, and eventually, those darts could become tranquilizers. So instead of killing enemies, you could just put them to sleep. On top of that, some of the tranquilizing powder stayed on the enemy, so if another NPC came to check on them, they'd pass out too. This really added some cool gameplay variety, which I appreciated. I loved seeing this feature because it reminded me of one of my favorite games, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Back then, you could send your followers to handle things for you, making you feel like a total mastermind with a squad of allies at your command. You get what I mean. I even asked one of the developers if there would be any mythology, fairy tale creatures, or anything like that. You can tell they really tried to stay true to Yasuke's samurai lore and style, even though his character is such a bold, in-your-face presence. The idea is that Yasuke is a real figure in this world, with a properly thought-out backstory about how he became a samurai. His journey to becoming one actually makes sense within the story. It's not like they just made him special for the sake of it. There's a genuine build-up to it. I didn't see the full progression, only the beginning, but I can kind of imagine how it plays out. So, I don't have a complete first impression of the story, but once Yasuke becomes a samurai in the open world, it's cool to see how people react to him. Some bow to him, while others look down on him. Not every character has the same reaction to him, and it really feels like the world acknowledges his presence instead of just ignoring him, which is refreshing. You know what I mean? What's more, he still sticks to samurai traditions. For example, When he goes stealth, every time he's about to stab an enemy, he addresses them so they can face him directly, just as samurai tradition dictates. It's a nice touch that makes him feel authentic and grounded in that world. The world is beautiful, just running through the forests and exploring looks amazing, and it doesn't have that empty feeling like Valhalla *. For example, there's a mechanic where, whether you're playing as Nao or Yasuke, you might notice something in nature like an animal behaving a certain way. They'll pull out a piece of parchment and sketch it, and you can display that drawing in your hideout. You can do this with several things, like fish or other wildlife. It adds this element where, even if you get lost in the woods, there's always something to do. It's a nice touch, even though it leans a bit into that classic Ubisoft collector vibe. But yeah, it's fun. Speaking of Ubisoft staples, the classic towers are still there. However, they're a bit more thought-provoking now because fast travel can actually skip to a different season. For instance, if you were planning something in snow and used fast travel, you might arrive in a different season where the snow is gone, so you have to think ahead a bit. There are 8 seasons in total, with each season having variations like 2 types of winter, summer, spring, and so on. Each season lasts about an hour of real time and can change dynamically during gameplay. You can also force a season change on the map by waiting some time, allowing you to better prepare the environment for stealth. What's even cooler is that, when a season changes, your wanted level in a specific province drops because so much time has passed that people forget about you. Personally, I only tried stealth during heavy rain. I didn't get that chance to try snow, even though I attempted to trigger it, but it wasn't ready yet. Still, during the rain, stealth became noticeably easier, and as you travel through the world with leaves falling around you and puddles glistening from the rain, the game looks visually stunning. It's genuinely a beautiful experience. Alright, let's talk about the hideout. Throughout the game, you have your very own hideout, a small town that you can take care of, decorate, and customize. You can place trees, animals, and other elements to make it feel like your own space. Remember that mechanic from older games where you see a dog, pet it, and move on? Well, here, if you pet an animal, it gets added to your hideout, and you can place it wherever you want. So, if you find, say, 50 deer, you can put around 43 of them in your hideout. There's some limit to avoid crashing the game. You can add deer, monkeys, fish, basically anything. You can even create a bamboo forest if you want. It's perfect for players who enjoy decorating and personalizing their space. The hideout also serves as your main hub. It's where you bring resources, and these resources aren't just for upgrading armor anymore. You use them to build and improve structures in your hideout, like a dojo, tea house, or blacksmith. You can upgrade these buildings and work with your followers to unlock new upgrades. Essentially, it's the place where you manage or overall progression, everything from combat and followers to your gear. It's also where you interact with all your followers, like your scouts or helpers. You can upgrade their abilities and send them on missions directly from the hideout. Overall, it's a central hub that ties together all the game's systems, making it aerially functional and satisfying space to come back to as you progress. For sure, it is way more engaging than the village in Valhalla. It may not be a 10/10, but I definitely have a good feeling about it. This game seems like it'll be worth playing, and it's definitely going to be much better than Valhalla. I liked Odyssey, but Valhalla felt like a step back for me. After 15 hours, it got really repetitive, and I was just doing the same things over and over. I didn't even play Mirage in the end, but this game has restored my confidence. Of course, I'll wait for the official release and see what other reviews say, but for me, this game is definitely going to have a spot on my desktop, and I'm really looking forward to it.